Have you ever worked on a project that felt like it was going perfectly, right up until the very end? You build all these different pieces, and each one looks totally finished on its own. But the moment you try to snap them together, the whole thing falls apart. In software development, the most expensive failures usually don't happen inside the individual pieces. The front end, the database, and the AI model might work beautifully in isolation. But the trouble hides in the empty spaces, where these components have to talk to each other. To fix this, step away from the digital screen for a moment and think about the physical world. Imagine someone learning archery. A beginner might spend months in a workshop, perfectly balancing the mechanics of their bow and polishing the wood to a shine. They do all of this before ever stepping outside to see if they can actually hit a target. An experienced coach would tell them to stop polishing and just fire. They send one glowing arrow into the dark. That first shot doesn't need to hit the bullseye. Its only job is to light up the path and show the archer if they are even aiming in the right direction. Software engineers use this exact same logic. Testing your basic direction early on prevents your team from spending months building a massive, highly polished system that happens to be pointing the wrong way. In software engineering, this glowing arrow is called a tracer bullet. A tracer bullet is a strategy where you build the thinnest, smallest possible version of a complete workflow right at the very beginning of a project. You aren't trying to deliver a long list of shiny features yet. You are simply trying to prove that your chosen technologies, the different languages your apps speak, can actually communicate with each other across the entire system. Let's look at how this works in practice. Suppose you want to build a brand new AI expense tracker. A full product is going to need a lot of pieces. Looking at this diagram, we can see the nodes that usually get built first: polished dashboards, user settings, and automated reports. It's an exciting list, but there's a problem with starting here. If you spend weeks perfecting that dashboard, only to discover later that the AI can't actually read the receipts you're uploading, all that work was for nothing. You've built a beautiful house on a foundation that hasn't been poured yet. You have to prove the core path works before the rest of the features are worth building. For our expense tracker, the most critical question is simple. Can a receipt actually move all the way through our system? This blueprint shows that exact path. We need to go from an initial upload, through a digital text scanner, into an AI analysis tool, down to a database, and finally out to a display screen. We start by sending a single rough test through the system. We watch as someone uploads an image of a receipt. We verify our scanner can read the words on that image, and then we check if the AI brain can correctly pull out the price and the date. Then we push that information down the line. We make sure our database can store it properly, and we check if we can successfully pull it back out to show it on a very basic, unstyled screen. If that single piece of data makes it to the end, you have learned something incredibly valuable. You have evidence that your technology works. You know your database can hold the data, and your AI behaves exactly how you expect it to. This approach focuses strictly on technical feasibility. While other methods check if a product will be popular with users, the tracer bullet proves the plumbing actually works. It replaces assumptions with proof. By firing this one early shot through your system, you find the errors while the project is still small. You figure out what needs to change long before you've spent serious money or time on a path that leads nowhere. Once that first test workflow is complete, the engineering team has a verified, stable backbone. With that central path glowing and proven, you can safely drop all those other features right into place. The dashboards, the reports, and the settings pages can be built quickly because they are attaching to a core that you already know is solid. There is a trade-off. In the first few weeks of a project, this can look like slow progress. Stakeholders might only see a very rough web page with one clunky button and zero formatting. But that rough interface is doing the heavy lifting of reducing uncertainty. Moving fast is great, but sprinting at full speed in the wrong direction is just a fast way to fail. So whenever you start a project with a lot of unknowns, use this flow. Take your idea and build just one end-to-end workflow to get real feedback. Adjust your direction, and only then expand your system. Ask yourself, what must I prove before I spend time on the rest? Validate the path before you expand the system. Always find your direction before you build up your speed.